Hello, my name is Nicholas Williams, and today I will be presenting my final project for EDU 585, Leadership, and the instructor is Dr. Brody. This will be the ESL department and school recommendations that I have for this project for Seneca High School. What is advocacy and why is it important? The true definition of advocacy is public support for or recommendation of a particular cause or policy. Personally, advocacy is speaking for those whose voices may not be heard by others. This is important because our students need someone to represent them and show others strategies and methods that will actually help them in the classroom and also help them to reach proficiency in English. So my first question for you is, what is your role at Seneca?
I am the course recovery teacher. So I work with kids that are at risk not to graduate for whatever reason. They've been in jail or they've been out because of medical issues, but they failed a class somewhere along the way. So they come to me, I help them take what they need, and then they graduate.
Okay, that's great. That's great. I didn't even know they had that in high schools. That is a good thing. Also, do you have any interactions with the ESL department, even though you work with students that are maybe at risk of not graduating? Do you have any type of interaction with the ESL department in determining those factors?
Yes, I do. It's minimum, but most of my interaction is a lot of our ESL department fail social studies classes, so civics, world history, U.S. history. And so because they fail those classes and they come to me to get them because they need them to graduate, so I reach out to the ESL department for a couple of different things. When we were in school, I might have needed a translator to help me get through the steps to show them where to go, because it's a software program they have to take. It's not easy to navigate for kids from other countries. There are some it's a translation tool on the software we use, but it doesn't have every language. And Seneca, I believe, I think we have 42 different languages at Seneca. So it doesn't have every African dialect on there. So that's an issue. But since we've been at NCI, most of my interaction has been with, I need translation for the parents. Let the parents know what the kid is supposed to be doing, because the kid is not being truthful and telling their parent what they're supposed to do.
Got you.
So I just send an email I have one ESL instructor that I work with more than others, and if she can help me, then she will. Even if the kid's not on her caseload, because they divide them by grades at my school. So the ESL instructor for each grade. And then we have like 3 interpreters and just trying to cover the whole school.
Perfect. That sounds more than I thought. That's great. So, do you have, and then even though we just spoke about the ESL department, do you have any close interactions with EL students, just individually?
I don't know what you're asking, but beyond just the one-on-one, trying to get them finished with their course.
Yes, is there anything beyond that?
I sponsor community service club after school. And I've had ESL students in my club, but most of the time we don't need a translator for that, because the other kids would translate for me.
Perfect. My next question for you, how are EL students represented throughout the school?
Let's see. We have a culture extravaganza in the spring, so it's like a big fair.
You all have been having that since I was in high school, so I'm like, that's crazy. You all still have that.
So that every culture and country is represented in that. Beyond that, I really don't. I think they have a close-knit community with the staff. And I think they feel welcome there because there are so many support systems in place.
Awesome. Can you elaborate on any of the support systems that may be in place already?
Well, a lot of the ESL teachers, like if a kid is struggling struggling in a core content class,
Mm-hmm.
the ESL teacher will pull the student from that class period and let them work with them in their classroom so that they can translate better.
Okay, that's perfect.
Yeah.
And my next question is, do you know what type of ESL program Seneca has right now?
No.
Okay, that's no problem. And my next question, 2 more questions, and I promise we're going to be done. What do you have in place currently to ensure proficiency in English for EL students when you are working with them specifically?
What do I have in place? Well, I use the translation tool on the software. If I have to use the Google Translator, I will. It's not perfect, but I've used it before. And then I will, Miss Brazil is kind of like the one I go to all the time. I will type the email out to her that I need to send to the parent or what I need to tell the parent, and then she'll call the parent and translate my email.
Okay.
To the parent, yeah.
That's perfect. And I have one more question, but there's like 2 questions in this one.
Okay.
Have you had any recent PDs helping you with EL students that you have attended?
So, yes, sorta. It's my school. Every Tuesday we meet for something. And so one of the Tuesdays, they focus on ECE and ELL resources. So they give like tips on how to modify and adapt your lessons for EL.
Even though during this project there was a lot of difficulty in making sure that I was able to collaborate with Seneca High School, there was still a lot that I did get done. I wanted to make sure that I was continuing to advocate for those students at Seneca High School, regardless of being able to speak with someone else. And so now I made a PowerPoint that is accessible for them to look at all of the recommendations that I have for their ESL department as well as their school. And I also gave them resources to follow as well. Recommendation 1 deals with the laws and mandates cheat sheet. One thing that I created for them, I created a cheat sheet that would be easy for teachers to view, to know exactly all of the laws and mandates that are in place for ESL students in school. If you see, there are many mandates that students have to be, or teachers have to use in order for students to be successful in school, and also to ensure that they have a quality education put in place for them. One of the mandates that I want teachers to really focus on is the ESSA, which is Every Student Succeeds Act. This is an act that was followed by the No Child Left Behind Act for students that President Obama signed into office. This act is pretty much saying that students need to be able to meet the English proficiency needs and also meet the same academic needs and content as other students that are in the classroom as well with them. Just having that in mind is going to help teachers focus on what needs to be done in the classroom, as well as what they can do better or what they can do to advocate for students as well. I also placed this WIDA website on there as well. So on that WIDA website, there are many resources that teachers can use in order to understand how to teach their EL students. And also like PDs. Also, they have a brief introduction to the access test for teachers to understand what are those standards that are needed in order to ensure proficiency for students as well. So those are 2 items that I wanted to get to the school for teachers to use during a PD. They can do it using during planning time, something that they need to look over, or even during a staff meeting. Someone can actually go over with these materials with the teachers and show them where these different resources are for their own individual professional development. That I have for Seneca High School is building relationships with parents for student success. The list of the resources that I have here are great resources for teachers to really implement into their instruction to help them understand their students, but also help that connection between the parent and the student and the teacher in order to create that triangle in order for success to happen in the classroom. The first resource that I have is the Talking Points app. The Talking Points app, a lot of things that I heard during the interview was just that there was a lot of language barrier. It's hard to talk to parents sometimes, but it is still our job to make sure that it's still happening. Talking Points was created to ensure that language barriers were diminished, basically, for the teacher to parent. In the Talking Points app, which there's a video to kind of introduce them to the Talking Points app, you are basically writing in English, and then you're able to send it in over 50 different languages to that parent. So it's really one of those things where it's a close connection where I can speak to the parent very, very quickly. They can write me in their heritage language or home language, and it will come back to me in English. So this is a great game changer in order to make sure that you are communicating with parents what is going on in school, and also parents are able to communicate with you what is going on at home. Explain This to Me. This is a book that was created by Dr. Brody. This book goes through many different scenarios that could happen in school and what teachers need to make sure that students understand and teachers and also parents know that is going on. Schools are different across the world. So when students come to America, the school system may be totally different than what they're used to. So this book is a great resource in order for you to really be able to communicate with parents and help them understand exactly what is needed of them when students come to school or when things are at home or even after school activities. So this is a great resource for teachers to use and also administration to use for their teachers in the school. Also, we have the flower model of culture. The flower model of culture, I wanted to actually kind of show this a little bit. And I was going to show during the second interview with the administration, which is still going to come up. This is a great resource to show where this culture come from. A lot of misconception is that when we see students, that is their culture, whatever they're wearing, however they act. But that's not necessarily true. Culture comes from deeply rooted, and also before the child was even born. They're born into that culture and they're learning from their parents and learning from their grandparents or anyone that is in their environment and teaching them exactly who they are and what they do. So what we see on the outside is not necessarily who those students are. And it's our job as educators to really go into and understand who that student is and really push them to greatness by knowing exactly where they come from. Our recommendation with Seneca High School is with teacher collaboration and data collection. Beyond the traditional methods such as paper surveys, interviews, and focus groups, technology enables teachers to be much more targeted in what they measure and how quickly feedback can be received. Teachers are able to see and respond to data at their own time. This is something that is a game changer because a lot of the times data was only accessible when they were at school. So if you have all of the data that is for a student online on a Google Sheet, spreadsheet, teachers are able to see that information while they're at home also. So while they're planning, they're able to look at those different materials and different data points and say, okay, I know that the student didn't do this, didn't do that, didn't do this. This is what my next steps are. But also in the high school world, a lot of the departments are very closed off. So you have social studies working with each other, you have a math department working with each other, and there's not a lot of collaboration as far as students. So having these resources like that Google Sheet is going to make it easier for teachers that are in the English department to know what is going on with the social studies department in that student. So when they're looking at language objectives, when they're looking at learning objectives that they have in the classroom, they're able to create these objectives in order to make sure that students are successful in the classroom, but also able to talk to other teachers and say, hey, I see that in English, he had a 100% on one of the writing assignments. What did you do in order to make sure that went well for your class? So when he comes to my class, it's easier for him to understand the language, but also understand the content that I am teaching as well. So that is exactly why making sure that the data collaboration and the data collection, and the teacher collaboration is very close-knit in order to make those strides in order to help and ensure students to proficiency in English as well as academic success in the classroom.